Wednesday, guys. We are back.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
So, oh my gosh, this is just so cool. As you can see, we have a guest today. And we are, well, before I jump in, let me just ask, how are you doing, Miss Jessica?
I'm doing great. As you guys see, I'm still at the office, but hey, I'm here.
Still at the office. As long as it's tax season, you'll be at the office, right?
You know,
4 days. 2 more days.
So, guys, welcome to She Elevates Podcast. I am Gail, your personal development coach.
I'm Jessica, your millennial life coach.
And she probably could have put a period there because Miss Tammy, she's not with us today. Well, she's cheering from the sidelines, and we're just lifing. Things happening. So yeah, just keep all of us in your prayers. And so, but today we have a very special guest. We are still with our non-negotiables subject, self-love, self-care, and today in particular we're talking about parenting, mothering in particular. And so we have Miss Leah Little-Gordon with us, and I'll talk a little bit about her, but let me just ask how you're doing today.
I'm doing all right. I'm excited to be here. It's funny because I was a little anxious on my way here.
Uh-huh.
But life, how you said, life just be lifing sometimes.
Oh my goodness.
And so my little one threw a tantrum, and so I was in a rush to get to the studio. We had time, but still, I had set in my mind that I was going to be here at a certain time. So
Absolutely.
It's funny that my husband called just to say, good luck on the podcast. And he said, how ironic is it that you're on today talking about non-negotiables of parenting or talking about, motherhood, and you're late because of a tantrum. But life happened.
And hear us. There you go.
There we go.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
So you see what you did there, Antoinette? She clicked the button.
It's just that simple.
All it takes is a button.
I'm just saying. So yeah, what I was saying is, have you heard if you want God to laugh, just tell him your plans.
Mm-hmm. Yep, all the time, all the time.
So that's what happened. So, but we're all here.
Yes, we are here. Sad Miss Tammy's not here. I was looking forward to us all being together.
Well, there'll be other times.
Yes, there will be more times, I hope.
And so you're gonna have to sit in as a spiritual advisor.
I love the Lord. Those are very big shoes to fill. I can sing a song.
I know that's right. Well, that's what she does, right, Jessica?
I'm about to say that's Tammy all day. She gonna sing.
It won't sound as good as Miss Tammy, but
Okay, guys. So yeah, like I said, we're still hanging in there with our non-negotiable topic, and so a little bit about Miss Leah, and I don't want to steal her thunder. I'm sure I can't though. So I met Leah so long ago, and you know how you meet somebody and you're just like totally impressed with them. It's like in awe. She is like about the same age as my oldest child, and so I quickly adopted her. Then she got married, and I just was in awe about how the dynamics of her relationship with her husband, and then they had children, and I've never seen anything like it. It's like she's raising two phenoms. Like these kids, I think Luke could swim before he could walk. It's like Liam. Yeah. I'm sorry, Liam. And just one quick story. You know how kids have their Christmas recital when they play an instrument? So, he was very young, and all the little kids was taking turns, and they, ding, 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 look, and you could barely recognize the song. Well, actually, they were telling you what it was, and they were playing, and it was really cute. It was nice, but Liam came on. I don't think he said what his songs were. And he gave us a little medley. And it sounded like a professional. And it just went from one song to the next, like flowing. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
So when we talked about having parenting as a topic, I immediately thought about Leah because I've never seen anything like it. Not only her parenting, like I said, how her and her husband have very specific parenting plans and how they work together to raise their children. And you can tell in the children.
Thank you. You're like about to bring me to tears.
Don't mess your makeup.
This took time. But yes, so again, I just want to thank you because again, this just feels so surreal. I know I mentioned this to Jessica because I remember the first day that the podcast went live. I came over, dropped off some shirts. I was in awe of like She Elevates, all just everything that it took to get here. Your blood, your sweat, your tears. It's beautiful. A beautiful story and a testament to who you all are. And I'm just grateful to be able to sit here on the panel today with you and to just like be a part of the fruit of your labor. This was you all's labor of love. And so I'm just grateful to be here. And I want to say thank you for recognizing who I am and what we stand for in the Gordon household, or as we call ourselves, the Gordon gang. And you know, you always recognize my goals and my ambition and my intentions. And so in the way that I nurture, if anybody's going to hype you up, it's going to be this lady right here, my gal, as I call her, or Gail Andrews. You may not hype yourself up at all or try to be as humble as you can, but she will definitely give you your flowers while you are still here. And I am so truly grateful. And I was telling Jessica too that, you know, it feels good. Well, today you're outnumbered because we have another millennial. I mean, I told her I'm a geriatric millennial because I'm an 82 baby, but the fact that you all first season, y'all used to get on, not necessarily get on.
They did.
Let's just keep it real.
About being a millennial. And so today you're outnumbered. So we can get back.
And this is what happens when your children turn on you.
They still love you though.
We do. We love you.
I love it. So yeah, okay. Well, we're gonna hop in. I'm going to yield the floor to you, Jessica. You want to kick us off?
I mean, give me one sec. You probably need to pick this up. I think somebody's outside. She wanted to listen in on our podcast.
No problem at all.
Well, what we didn't say, because everybody knows who you all are.
Who you
but
are.
But let's maybe say who
Absolutely.
I am.
Let's get some backstory.
And what I guess qualifies me in a way to be here. So I am a Jill of all trades. People who know me know I say that often. Literally, I am a wife, a mom of 2 active boys. I am a full-time homeschooler. So I homeschool both my 9-year-old who is in 4th grade and my 4-year-old who is in pre-K going to kindergarten next year. And I am also a registered nurse, a licensed nail technician, a licensed esthetician, and I have 2 businesses. One is Soul Elegance Incorporated, which is my boutique salon and spa, where I help women to feel good about themselves. I believe that when women look good, they feel good, and you boost your self-confidence, your self-love, your self-esteem when you are doing things for you. So practicing daily self-care is very important, and I preach that to my community. And then also I have I'm a Bee. I'm a Bee is a graphic design t-shirt and apparel and accessories company in which we have positive messaging on our items. This is one right here, Ain't No Hood Like Motherhood, because it really, I'm going to get you one. I'm going to get you one. And so it's just the message. And we also do custom items, make custom items. But the positive messaging is something and any message on our shirt really is to be able to inspire a variety of feelings and emotions, as well as to spark conversation. So that's that.
Love it. First of
Thank
all,
you.
You got up here as if you're nervous, and I don't see it.
Why? If that's who you are, it's like you have to have your chest stuck out.
Exactly.
Like you're welcome for me coming on your podcast.
I'm grateful to be, but I'm learning to start speaking up. I have a very hard time talking about myself as well as promoting the things that I am putting out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that God doesn't want that. Like, he's given me and everybody different abilities and capabilities and talents, and I just have to put it out there. And that's what I'm learning to do. And it doesn't mean that you think you're like up here, right? It just means that God wants you to share what you have to offer with the world, because you could be speaking to someone and you don't know someone's situation, but whatever I've been through, or maybe whatever I'm going through, some people say, like, they may say, whoa, how do you do it all? It's about balance, right? And I can't scale fully in every single thing, but the one thing that comes first is my family.
Yeah.
My children come first. Homeschooling, nurturing, empowering, instructing, disciplining, equipping, and discerning. Those are all things that I do 24/7. I'm influencing my children, and my husband are, we're influencing our children 24/7 every day. And being that I am home, with them, I am like, they're one of the biggest influences that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important for other people to see, I believe, that, you can do it all. You may not be able to do everything on the scale or the level that you want to do it. But as the kids get older, I'm able to devote more time to some of the things that, that bring me joy and add happiness, to who I am, so I can fully fulfill my purpose in life.
That's good. That's so good. And I think oftentimes we get caught up in thinking, it's arrogance, or we're thinking that we're more than somebody. I think those are just like self-limitations we put on ourselves. But sometimes we gotta have that season where I'm not gonna be as humble as I was in this previous season. People got to see, and people got to know who I am, so I can get myself out there. But considering like all the hats that you wear, I'm just learning so much about you right now. How do you set the foundational boundaries within your household when it comes to parenting?
So I think my mom started that, right? I have to give all honor to her, because she always say, if I could just be half the mom and half the woman that she was, then, I'd be all right. Because she worked a full-time job, her good government job, as they say. But yet she had us involved in activities, my brother and I, in a lot of not a lot of activities, but, she made sure that we were exposed. And if we expressed interest into something, she made sure that her and my dad made sure that we were able to participate and partake. And that means like academic enrichment programs, other types of activities and sports. And so I think seeing non-negotiables really started with her. And so those values that she imparted on me and in our household, and my dad in our household, I took that with me into parenting. So we have a lot of discussions in our household. It's not one of those things where it's do what I say. Sometimes, you just have to do that, right? Yeah. But it's not one of those things where you say, do what I say and not as I do, or do what I say because I said so. We have a lot of discussions about why it's important that we have some of these set rules. And of course, the boundaries that we have help to hold our children accountable, and to let them know that there are certain ways that you really ideally kind of want to carry yourself. I hate to use the word should. I was taught recently that you really shouldn't say should as much. And it's so ingrained in our vocabulary that we say it, because who says that we should, right? Or shouldn't do something. Right. But just based on wanting them to be responsible, respectful, adults, right? And productive members of society, and to have respect for themselves and for other people, and to be kind. We just want to make sure that we instill some of those things into them. And so we have discussions, of course, just ourselves, and we're taking some of those, the way that it was modeled for us, we're taking some of those core values and also coming up with our own, because while we had in like our households, we were able to communicate and socialize with our parents and have open dialogue. I know not everybody is able to, they didn't have those type of that type of upbringing. And so we just want to make sure that the kids understand why it is that we're saying what we're saying, why we're imparting some of these values into them. And sometimes, honestly, I feel sometimes that I'm being a little too, I don't want to say strict, but there are times when I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be so rigid in certain things, because I do think about like our future together. In terms of like the friendship that we'll have when the kids get older and things like that. But then I'm brought back to reality and I say, Leah, you have a job to do. And your job is, of course, so you have your non-negotiables, but I'm not they're not so absolute. Some things, yes, are very absolute. And I'm sure we'll get into those as we talk about non-negotiables. But I just want to make sure that, of course, they are that we create structure and we set these rules and these standards so that they can be amazing individuals and they can be able to be responsible, right, and live on their own, because mom and dad aren't going to be around
Absolutely
every single day of their lives. If they decide to go to college or if they go to summer camp, there's a way that you conduct yourself. And so just want to make sure that they have those boundaries and those rules.
That's good.
Guiding them.
It is so good. You really unpacked a whole lot, and
yeah.
I wanted to touch on something because all of us we were raised in different backgrounds. Well, coming from different backgrounds and raised differently in some fashion. And for me, it was like in my household growing up, do it because I said do it,
Absolutely.
But, and it's so crazy that you say this because I have these conversations with my siblings sometimes, and they say like I give my kids too much a leeway when it's time to have conversation. They supposed to do it because you said do it. And I'm like, no, because I remember the feeling that I had when my mom said to do something and do it because I said do it. I was always left with the question of why do I got to do it? Or, why do I have to do it that way? I think having an open dialogue with your kids and allowing them to feel comfortable with asking you questions is a great thing to do, because other than that, you kind of create this. Gail know me. I would say I was my mama's rebellious child. And I think that's the reason why though. It's because I never had that room to be able to express myself. And my son, it was something as little as him picking out his own clothes for school one day. And I was like, Bryson, just put the outfit that I picked out on. And he was like, Mom, you don't want to let me express myself.
I've heard that.
And so I just sat there and I was like, what do you mean express yourself? What do you want to wear? What is it right here that's going to allow you to express yourself? And he went and got a totally different outfit. And then at that moment, it clicked. I got it. I was like, it's okay for him to dress himself. It's okay for him to want to express himself. Everything that I say, it may not be concrete. It may not be all in all. You learn a lot from your kids. So you unpacked a whole lot, but I'm glad that you stated, growing up in your household, you guys were able to have that open dialogue. But for me, I speak from that group of individuals who could not say, well, Mama, why we got to do it? That just wasn't going down in the household. You're going to do it because I said do it. But I learned from that, and I vowed to never do my kids like that.
That's good, Jessica. And so if you come from the household where you do it, where I came from. So I'm representing me and Tammy. Speaking for the baby boomers, yeah, it was absolutely like that in my household. And so I wasn't the rebellious kid like Jessica was, but my sister was. And so I didn't do it because I saw what happened to her when she did it. But it was absolutely, you certainly are not going to say why, because you're asking for a brush or some other object to be thrown at you. And so, but it's a dichotomy for me, because a lot of times when, baby boomers, they can get set in their ways, and, they think you should raise your children a certain kind of way because that's what they're used to, right? That's what happened to them. But just coming to your house, and when I walk in the door, like Luke is 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just those conversations, it's almost like, am I talking to a friend of mine? It is so interesting, just the things that they know. He was like, "Mom, Gail, we have a Tesla." When they had a new car, I'm like, why do you know that? Why do you even know what a Tesla is? So, but yeah, I think it is enriching because I think it's instilling self-confidence in them and self-belief, and the fact that there are very little boundaries on what they can do and how far they can go. So I'm loving it. I think it would have been very beneficial had we started a long time ago. But yeah, I love that that's the case now. And I do definitely see the fruits of that labor. And just to going back to something you said about you not necessarily wanting to be vocal about all that you do, all that you can do. I'm in Tammy's shoes now, because the Bible tells us that, that story about the three people who God gave the talents to, and one of them hid them. Right. And which is what we would be doing if we don't share the gifts, the talents that God gave us. And God is not pleased with that or happy. And the things that we go through is not necessarily just for us, but it's for somebody else, to your point, because somebody else may be struggling in a certain area. And if we can help them by telling them what we've overcome, even if it seems minuscule to us, it could be groundbreaking for them. And so, I definitely encourage you to keep getting out there, keep sharing who you are and how you do what you do.
Thank you.
That's good. That's real good. I want to see, we had some comments come up. Let me see if I can tap into that.
Were you on, Jessica, Facebook or IG? Are we on IG?
Facebook. Tammy said, "Hello, my sisters. Definitely cheering from the sidelines. Tammy, we love you."
Hi, Miss Tammy.
And
you'll get a shirt too, Tammy.
Yes, Miss Tammy will get a shirt.
Do I need to put my address in the private channel?
I got you.
And Kamira said, "Love that you have a job to do." Taya stated, "It's about changing the mindset of parenting." That's so good. We get stuck a lot. I don't want to say we, because that includes me. And I vowed not to be a part of that group. I believe in allowing kids to have their freedom, not to the point where, they're just out here being reckless. That's where those boundaries come in. But I do feel like if we don't allow them to be who God called them to be, then we're not doing no justice for nothing.
Right. That's good.
Possibly blocking somebody else's blessing, because that very blessing could have came through our particular child. Right. So I definitely believe we need to start changing the way we think about parenting. When our parents did it, it was different times then. We're on a different scale of things right now. And it's important for us to just allow our kids to be themselves.
Absolutely. And just to focus in on the non-negotiables, let's talk about a few of the non-negotiables, in your parenting.
Well, I think Jessica just touched on one of them, which was safety, right? You don't want them out here just acting all, willy-nilly and, and wild, and crazy. So safety is definitely one of the top non-negotiables. I think all of them, I can't necessarily say give them a number in order of importance, but definitely safety, keeping them safe. I know that I can't coddle them as much as I want to, of course, because
until you become a grandmother,
then I want to coddle them.
No, then you can coddle.
I really want to protect them, especially in the world that we live in today. I'm sure I'm sure you were very protective, of your kids as well. Sure. But it just seems like there's so much more. Maybe it's because I'm more aware because I am an adult and I am a parent, but it just seems like there's so much that I kind of want to protect them from. And I'm not a helicopter parent by any means, but I do. It's funny because, those commercials, like the Huggies commercials, I believe it was, where you have your first child and you're all like, don't do that. Got to make sure I pack all these different things.
It's so true.
So with our second, with Liam, our oldest, I was very, don't get in the dirt. Don't get yourself dirty. Wear your bib, all those different things, right? Whereas Luke, our youngest, I am just like, whatever. Like, as long as you're safe, I protect you. Right. And kids nowadays are so independent. Yes. Like, he wants to make his own turkey sandwich and things like that. But it is one of those things. And I do see the difference in them. But of course, one of the main things is just safety. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that I will allow you to do. If we go to the playground, I need to see you in my vision. Like, if I can't see you and you can't see me, then you're too far. Mm-hmm. Same thing within the house. Like, if we're talking about making a sandwich, you cannot use certain knives. So there are things, of course, that we have up from them. And then also too, teaching them that there are certain places and things that they may not be ready to do just yet because of their age or their maturity level. And again, we have conversations as to why you ought not to participate or partake in a particular activity.
Yes, my daughter, she's 13 now. My son, he's 9. Mm-hmm. And the thing I get now is, Mom, can I go to my friend's sleepover? And I'm like, no, Maddie. Right. And she's like, why? But you allowed them to stay over here? I said, I don't mind them coming over here if it's okay with their parents. I said, but I'm not okay as your parent with you going to their house. I said, everybody is not the same. It's too much going on in the world. I'm forever grateful that their parents trust me with their kids. Mm-hmm. But I don't trust everybody with my kids. Same and so that's a boundary that I had to lay down to them and explain to them that this is why you guys can't spend night over other people's homes.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anthony, I was just getting ready to give you that message.
I was too.
And I can relate to that. I always say that I feel like our children will be missing out on some of the joys of childhood that we had, such as going to sleepovers and things like that. And I think for me, being a nurse, and then some of the things that you see on TV. So I've been exposed, like I've been able to see certain things, right, in a hospital setting, as well as the things that I see on TV. And we're not here to talk about that, but that's one of the reasons why I don't watch the news, because it's just so much emotion. It takes an emotional toll on me. And so the things, though, that I see are some of the reasons why I say, they may not be able to go to sleepovers. They may not be able to do this. They may not be able to do that. But then again, I also know that I could be doing them a disservice, right, if I don't allow them to participate in certain things, because they may not be able to handle themselves or know how to handle themselves when they do get older and are placed in certain situations, certain settings.
Absolutely. But, with the not looking at the news, I don't look at the news either. But, and a lot of people, or some people say that, it doesn't affect them. They can handle it, whatever, or they think they're just being kept up to date. But I think it's very subtle how negativity impacts you. And you just continually listening to that, I think you become desensitized to a lot of things, because like these days, they show some things on the news that they would have never showed when I was younger. And it's all good with everybody because you just sprinkle it in, and that little bit is doing a whole lot in the long run. So I'm with you. I am very careful about what data I take in, because I know I want to be the best version of myself. And to do that, I only want the positive things. I want the things that nurture what I'm trying to create to come in. And so I'm very intentional about what I look at, what I read, what I listen to, all of that, because I do know it's a very subtle action that happens when too much negativity comes in.
Yeah. And one of the things that I also do with my kids is try to meet them in the middle. To see what type of compromise we can come with. So if your friend is having a birthday party and it's going to turn over into a sleepover, okay, you can attend the birthday party. I'm going to be there. I'm not going to be in your space. I'll kick it with their parent or whatever. But I feel like having some type of compromise in the middle helps out a lot too.
That's good.
I feel like I'm just not allowing them to do anything.
Just the mean mommy that's always saying no.
Like, come on, girl, let me meet you in the middle. Let's down. And she's definitely my mini me.
Jessica's kids are adorable too. You have to meet them. They came up here, and she is definitely a little Jessica.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
And I don't think it helps that our birthdays are a day apart.
Oh, wow. That's special. That's really special.
It's special, but at the same time, it's almost like it's every year, Maddie. First, then on the 3rd is my day. Let me have my day. She's like, no, it's my mom.
I ain't mad at her. So, I'm just gonna twist it up a little bit, because non-negotiables, I'm just going to come from a different perspective. I think there are certain non-negotiables that you have to have when you have adult children from the parent, non-negotiables for the parent, being the parent, meaning we have to allow them to set boundaries, our children as adults to set boundaries, because the parents or in-laws sometimes can be very overbearing.
Right.
And we feel like we know what's best. So we're going to run your household as an adult. So that's a non-negotiable.
I'm so glad she brought this up.
That's a non-negotiable. I think that is a form of respect to your children to, allow them to set those boundaries and expectations, because they are adults and times change, everything evolves, and they are equipped, or they will be equipped, to handle life's lessons at that moment and time, which is very different from life's lessons when you were young and that age. So yeah, I think that we should also take into consideration that there needs to be non-negotiables as a parent to adult children.
But I think, to your point, respect, the values that you instill when it comes to respect it could go from, from childhood to adulthood, and you also reciprocating that respect, right? So no matter how old you get, the same level of respect that you may be a little more vocal as an adult, right? Because you have lived a little longer, well, a little more. You haven't lived longer than your parents, but you've lived a little more, you've experienced a little more. So, but the basic core or foundation of respect to me is like kindness, right? Being courteous, having grace for others as well as for yourself. And those are things that I feel like as a child need to exhibit, of course, to your parents, and parents, of course, exhibit that to your children. And so that at the heart of like respect, any of those key components, I guess, of respect should never be, well, I won't say never. I mean, there are times when, of course, you have to stand up for yourself, and the parent may say, oh, that's being disrespectful. And the adult child may say, oh, well, you disrespected me, but learning, of course,
sounds like Jessica.
But like, and I do that honestly. I mean, my mom and I were so much alike, and I love her, so much, and I respect her. And again, I like I said, if I could just be half of the parent, and the woman that she was. But there are times when my mom and I are like this because, she did teach me to be like I can vocalize how I'm feeling. I can express how I'm feeling. I can express my thoughts, my wants, my needs. And there are times when I'm sure she's probably like, what did I create? What kind of monster?
That's my mama right there.
But I am just like her. And I always tell her, as much, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you accept it or not, acknowledge it or not, I am you and you are me. And I wouldn't change it for anything, because she taught me how to be strong, even though sometimes I don't feel like I'm as strong as her. But she's taught me how to be strong. She's taught me how to be resourceful. She's taught me how to be loving, how to do things for other people, kind of in a way to be selfless, which sometimes is a challenge, right? Especially when my brother and I are almost 10 years apart. So I feel like there are times when I do act like an only child, so there may be a little bit of I don't want to necessarily say selfishness, but it's like I have a hard time sometimes giving up certain things just because, it's like, oh, that's mine, But one thing that she's, of course, taught me is that unconditional love. And that's another, I feel like, non-negotiable, is the love and support that that you give to your children, and that adults, whether you're now on the opposite side, so like me giving love and support. And even at 40, almost 41 years old, my parents are still, I feel like, my number one cheerleaders. I mean, my husband definitely is too, but, coming from some people who have known me all my life, they are very supportive of me. And they can tell me when they're disappointed. They can tell me when they would maybe do things differently. I still look to my parents for guidance sometimes, for that emotional support, those words of affirmation. And that all goes back to love and support and encouragement, which, again, I feel like are non-negotiables. Like our kids, we have to express love and show love to them.
I'm hearing balance throughout, everything that you're saying is having that balance, even with your parents. And that's one of the things that I experienced with my mom, is because we two Scorpios. So we gotta have a balance. And sometimes she, like your mom, like, what have I created? And I'm like, well, Mom, I'm a mini you. Like, you don't have to admit it. My aunt has already told me how you was back in the day. I'm a mini you. So you got to know when something isn't sitting right in my spirit, I'm going to call you out on it. And I expect you to do the same thing to me as your child, as you have done many of times before. But it's kind of crazy when we have those role reversals sometimes, because I have 4 other siblings, and the oldest and my mom, they kind of like bump heads sometimes. And so when my mom called me about it, she really wants my feedback because when I don't give it to her, she's like, you got nothing to say? I'm just listening. Do you want me to be a listening ear, or do you want me to listen and then respond? Well, I want to know what you think. And so when I call her out on it, because sometimes our parents, by being our parents, they just think they're right all the time.
Absolutely.
I'm like, well, Mama, you have to look at it from his perspective. I said, no, I didn't heard you. I didn't heard everything that you stated, but maybe you should consider. And then, where you come from? I'm the mama. Like, okay. Sometimes, wisdom can come from your children. But your children get that wisdom from you, and from life experiences as well. So I heard in everything that you stated, it's like having a nothing can be perfect, but having some type of balance to balance everything out.
Yes,
that's good. Another thing that I was thinking about. So I have my 2 remaining sons, but and they're very different. So my youngest son lived with me for a very long time, like long enough for, how comedians make jokes about you still live with your mom, like that long. And so he was very dependent on, my thoughts and how I felt about the direction that he was taking. And I was more than happy to guide him and lead him and tell him exactly what he needs to be doing. And I was also pleased that he was still here because of, I feel like even though he was an adult, it's still dangerous out there. And why struggle, financially out there when you can be here? Well, he went into the military, and when he came back from boot camp, he refused to come back home. He said he was going to go out and be on his own. Well, they taught him a thing or two in the military, but that also taught me that autonomy is important because that's a part of their personal growth and self-development to allow them to get out there and fall. You can be there to pick them up, but don't prevent them from, to your point, having that social experience out there because you could be stunting their growth. So I think that autonomy is a non-negotiable because you could be stunting your children's personal development by
that's really good.
By coddling them.
And for me, I also look at what you just said, the autonomy part has to go back to responsibility or has to deal with responsibility. You instilled responsibility, in him. The military instilled responsibility in him. That's another non-negotiable for us too, certain responsibilities that you may have when it comes to, getting your work done, helping to show respect for our home and keeping our home tidy, keeping your room tidy. It's a challenge at this young age that I'm, that I'm dealing with 9 and 4. And I find myself more of saying, you need to help out and you need to do this and you need to do that. And then I end up, we tend to end up, my husband and I end up cleaning up. Yeah. And so
he's 4.
But he, and they make the biggest mess, but don't ever want to help clean up. Right? But, and also to add to your point about autonomy, not giving up. That's another one that I have in terms of a non-negotiable, seeing things through. My husband tends to say all the time, which is something that I didn't necessarily, I never really heard this saying, but it's do as you say, like do what you say you're going to do, right? And so if you keep saying or you say you're going to do something, then you need to do it. And I love that he instills that in our children and that I'm picking up on that as well. So not necessarily being so quick to like try your hand at something and then be quick to give it up. Try to follow it through and see. Good. So do what you say and say what you mean, something like that.
Be true to your word.
Yes, be true to your word. And that also shows responsibility, right? That people can depend on you, right? And they can rely on you. And so that's a non-negotiable, for us. So positivity, self-talk, affirming yourself, affirming your children, and believing in yourself, even when nobody else does. That's a non-negotiable.
That's good.
One of the things I tell my kids every morning, and it's routine, they're like, "Mom, not today, please." Like, you might as well go and say it because it's coming. Bryson, come on, Madison. Like, be great because you are great. Be a blessing because you are a blessing, and be intentional. And Bryson, like, because I am intentional.
I love it.
Bryson loves it.
I want them to be intentional in everything.
That's so good. That's so good.
To be a blessing because I think that God created all of us to be able to share our light with other people. Otherwise, like, why create all of us? We're supposed to be a blessing to one another. And so I just want them to leave out of the household every morning with that on their mind.
Good stuff. Well, guys, we're going to close it out. We're going to wrap it up with a few parting comments. So I'll just leave you guys with it. I love this conversation. It was so amazing.
Oh, I feel like it went by so quick.
It went by very quickly. But so I'll just leave you with, I like the respect as a non-negotiable and the autonomy, and it makes for great communication and personal development for the kids. Yes. So what do you have there?
Respect, of course, one of the top ones. Grace, and also to education. We didn't touch on education, but nobody can ever take it away from you. My grandfather used to say that. So, you're going to learn. You have no choice but to learn because that helps with growth and self-development. And it's necessary.
Never stop
learning.
Okay, Jessica, take us home.
Tammy stated, love, support, respect, and of course, prayer for our adult children.
Yes.
For me, is simply allow your kids to be who God called them to be.
Yes,
Don't stunt their growth.
I love it.
Faith. I love it.
Good stuff. Okay, guys. Well, we could have gone on, of course, more and more, but we'll wrap it up here. And if you want more, that's the goal. We want to leave you wanting more. So stay tuned. First Wednesday of next month, we will be back live to chop it up about some other non-negotiable. Drop it in the chat if you can think of anything, or if there's anything in particular you want to hear about as it relates to non-negotiables, and we'll certainly talk about that. So that's it, guys. Thank you, Tammy, for being on the sideline cheering.
Thanks for having me.
As important as prayer is, you see why we need you here.
Yes.
Because we all do it, but it's like second nature, so you don't even talk about it.
Yeah. Miss you, Miss Tammy.
Yes. Okay, guys. So we will see you next month.
Bye. Love you guys.
Bye.